a woman CEO who does the same thing. She knows those personal items. It's like going to your favorite restaurant. I'd rather pay more and go to a restaurant when I walk in and they're like, Lorianne, I'm so glad you're here. Who are the guests that you brought to our restaurant? And we feel extra special, right? We're still going to produce, we're still going to do, we're still going to eat our dinner, right? But at work, when you feel that extra special, when the big man, the big woman of the organization, big human of the organization takes enough time to say, hey, how's your cat? Changes something.
It does. When somebody knows you and there's that connection, that's a part of retention, because I'm not part of the company. I'm part of the culture that's here. I'm part of the people. I'm close with the people. We're human, and we like that. I think that the pandemic taught us that. It was very funny. One of the things, pardon me, that I think people miss the most were those little gestures, like you shake hands when you see somebody. It's a warm greeting, right? Or maybe putting your hand on a friend's shoulder. We stopped doing a lot of those things, and we kind of lost that humanity that we had. And as soon as we had the opportunity to do that again, you could see how much people really enjoyed embracing each other. And I think
we craved it.
Yeah. And you embrace somebody with the things you were just saying. Those CEOs are brilliant to just get to know people because you sincerely care.
Yeah, and they do, because they realize that their number one resource in any company are your employees. So that helps with retention. And you said a really important word, and it gets thrown around these days, but it's culture. It's not a job. It's being part of an organization, being part of a community, being part of this culture. And you create that culture with your mission, vision, value. That's your baseline for your culture. And then you build it by actually taking words and actions and doing things to elevate that culture, creating this environment to allow the individual to be the best they can possibly be. So instead of focusing on their failures, which a lot of companies do, it's like, oh, you're not good at this, so we're not going to elevate you until you get better. And they point out all your weaknesses. We kind of shift that lens and say, we all have weaknesses. We're going to help you strengthen those while you make your strengths even stronger. So what happens is it becomes this balancing act up to the manager to make sure that we get the best out of people. And that expectation makes these already high vibing companies level up.
And I think there's a shading in there that you can also say sometimes, in lieu of that individual having a lack of ability to accomplish something, the question that you might want to ask them is, so what's blocking you? What's in your way?
Yeah.
Because sometimes somebody could do it, but there are things that are in their way. And I think that's one of the great values that a leader can bring is, let me move the obstacles out of your way, but you got to tell me, you got to help me, because I don't see everything, right? If you can confess you have blind spots and they can tell you what the obstacles are, together you're a heck of a team, because one of you moves the obstacles and the other one's going to plow through for success.
Also, what you're asking is, what do you want? And when was the last time somebody asked you, what do you want? And that's a question. When somebody asks me that, I'm like, wait, what do I want? Okay. And I'm able to rattle that off. It's like, I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you what my vision is, and I'll tell you what I want. But when you work for another company, so another person, very rarely as an employee do you get that question asked. So it's a different way to ask what you just asked is, what's your block? What's preventing you from being successful? Another thing good businesses do, and I don't want to give away all of my tools, but one of the things that, I see successful people do, and I really encourage, is sometimes people aren't in the right position. So I actually was in this one company, and they were saying that they had this marketing person in there, and they did a crappy job. They were doing a terrible job, and I was like, okay. And they wanted me to find another company to come in and do their marketing. And I said, can I see the report about the leads that you're getting? And so they gave me a report. They were getting like 57 leads a week. That's good. That's really good. And I was like, okay, so let's follow the leads. How was your closing? Let's go to the closing. And they hadn't closed any of them. And I was like, okay, so there's a disconnect. The leads are coming in. So the marketing people are delivering the mail. I always call it delivering the mail, because that's all they can do is they deliver the leads. You have to nurture them and close them. So there was a disconnect someplace in the closing part. So I said, can I just sit in the office for a little bit and observe what's going on? And I made an observation, and I was watching this woman, and she was doing this spreadsheet, this huge spreadsheet, doing the spreadsheet, and the phone would ring and she'd pick it up and she'd be like, yeah. And I was like, oh, my word, please don't answer the phone like that. But that's how she was answering it. And now she has to go back to her spreadsheet when she's done and start from square one again, because where did you leave off? You can't pick up something like that in the middle all the time, right? And she kept getting interrupted, and you could see her level of frustration was getting higher. And then there was this other woman in the same room, and she was just doing some filing and stuff like that, and she wasn't answering the phone. And I was just wondering, what would it mean if we put her on the phone? Now, the funny thing about that is when she answered the phone, she was so perky and peppy. And I was like, oh, my teeth hurt. It's just too sweet. It was just amazing. The difference, though, was remarkable. And what I did was I made a suggestion to the owner. Would you be okay? This particular person is getting interrupted. Well, I said, is it important that she does the spreadsheet? Can this other woman do the spreadsheet? And he went, oh, no. This person, she does all this for me. And that's all. I said, can we put the other person on the phone? They look like all they're doing is filing. And not to say that that's not important, but maybe they have a better bandwidth and you could stop and start filing without having to start at the beginning again. So long story short, they switched roles. She started answering sweet, my teeth hurt. And the other woman was like so relieved, and she was able to work and be more productive. We then looked at their leads, and they looked at the closing, and they had a 25% increase in closing. Just by the fact that they could keep people on the phone. Because when they got answered, yeah, or what, one of the times she answered the phone, what, when she got that, when they got greeted with that really sweet greeting, they stayed on the line long enough to speak to a salesperson in order for them to close the business. And we didn't have to change and cost more money, because you're going to go to another marketing company. They're going to charge more. There's going to be doubt, and he didn't trust them anyway. So we built trust back up. He got told that he did have the right service provider there. And we made two people really happy, because she loved being on the phone, and the other person loved doing her spreadsheets and doing the work that she was doing and supervising the woman on the phone. So with observation too, sometimes it's the wrong position. That's all.
So I'm going to summarize a little bit here, because I think we had three pretty big topics that we touched on. The first one, we talked about people who are, leaving, or we're experiencing, problems with retention. We want to see what we can do. Ask the questions, right? Be bold and ask the questions to find out what's going on. How can we improve this and fix this? And either they don't leave, or if they do, we can, work to make it better for others. We talked a little bit about, if it ain't broke, break it, right? It's going well, but stay involved, stay aware, make sure that you're continuing to learn and make it better. And the last one, I love that you talked about, sometimes it's just making sure the right people are in the right seats. And you may have really good people, but plugging them into the right places can make an enormous difference in both their happiness, productivity, which is also going to result in retention, which is where we started. Fair summary of where we are?
Fair summary. And I offer retention programs where I go in and I help companies with retention and learning how to do programs and setting up retention. Same thing with expansion programs, working with companies who have, a decent retention, but they also want to expand and do more with their company, more with their employees, and just really build on the strong foundation they've already built. And, more importantly is when you are a really good leader and you're walking around your office, walking around your company, and really engaging with your employees, you will see that they're in the wrong seat. You will see if you're opening your eyes. So spend that time. I know it sounds like a lot of time, but 1 hour a week, 20 minutes a week, 5 minutes a week, just spend a little more time communicating with your employees. So that will markedly improve your retention just from the get-go. Then if you take these other steps, it will just really elevate that retention capability, especially in the time we're in today, where hiring is so difficult. I got to tell you, I have this conversation about retention and hiring the last couple of weeks. It's been a theme. It's just been a theme.
That's right. And companies are doing all they can to retain people. And my last thought to you would be, if somebody's walking around and you're looking and you're speaking to people and asking questions and you're not hearing anything, something's really wrong. They need to call you right away.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, they have to recognize that they're not hearing in order to know to call me. So you have to be aware, but I really recommend, and you know this, we talk about this. I really recommend having someone who is going to be your accountability partner, whoever that is, and make sure that accountability partner is a raving fan and a cheerleader, because you want them to hear what you have to say, and you want to be able to be frustrated around them, and you want to be able to bounce ideas off of them safely without feeling vulnerable, because we are in a vulnerable place when we're really being courageous and opening up and opening our ears and eyes and seeing what we're really doing or what we're not really doing. So does that resonate with you, Vince?
It does, because if people are engaged, if people are committed, then they're going to come forward and tell you things that are not working. And that's not a bad sign. That's a sign of trust. That's a sign of culture. That's a sign of commitment. So spot on, Lorianne.
Yeah. I, next time when we get together and we're in the coaching corner, I want to talk more about how do we deal with, the financial conditions of the world right now in a business. I want to talk about that because I know you have a prolific amount of information about that. I always say I do marketing. I don't do math. You do math and you do it very well. As well as coaching. You're amazing. Any last thoughts, Vince, to help our listeners?
Just be open and listen. The greatest gift a leader can have is the ability to listen.
Beautiful. I call it wait. Why am I talking? Wait. Thank you all for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle. I'm Lorianne and
Vince Perrotta.
I hope we have earned the privilege of your time. I want to thank Vince. Vince, I love doing the coaching corner with you. You're always lovely. And if you are looking for a business coach, accountability, strategy, direction, a sounding board, someone to help streamline your business or more, just give us a call here at 516-983-3591. Love to help you soar to success. Thank you again for joining us today on Healthy Lifestyle. I hope you got some good, valuable information out of it. Look for our show next Saturday. Until then, I am Lorianne Casdia.
I'm Vince Perrotta.
Play a higher role, serve a higher purpose, show up for you, and show up. Yes, show up big. Even my coach decided you wanted to show up big. All right, everyone, have a great day.